what I have seen from the email marketing campaigns that I work on for clients and in my own business is I think we have it a little bit wrong. And the way that we put email like on this pedestal, and you think that as soon as I start emailing and I start emailing the right way, I'm going to have like all this money and all these sales. And I really believe, like I tell people, like email is not the magic. Like you are the magic. People want to hear from you. Email is just one of those really great avenues for people to find you, right? You're in their inbox. It's so personal. It's almost like the next most personal thing to sending someone a handwritten letter, if you think about it, you know?
Welcome to this week's episode of the Online Creator Podcast. My name is Kim, your podcast host, business mentor, and audio storyteller. This show is a space to inspire through conversations and community to help us keep connected, keep inspired, and keep moving towards our goals. Expect to hear honest conversations and real-life experiences from entrepreneurs at every stage of business and from a wide range of industries. Find your confidence, see what is possible, and build the legacy that you have dreamed of. Let's get started. Hi, Jenny. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast this morning.
Hi, Kim. I'm so glad to be here and to finally connect with you.
Yes, we've traveled in similar circles, but never really connected. So this is why I love doing the guest interviews on the podcast, because it's such a great, powerful tool to be able to connect with other like-minded humans in this industry. So yeah, I appreciate your time and so excited to dig into your area of expertise. But before we do, can you just please introduce who you are, what you do, and who you serve?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Jenny Roth. I'm a copywriter. I've had my own business as a copywriter for 4 years. Before that, I did it really part-time when my kids were little. I have 3 kids now. They're like preteens and teenagers. So it's this really cool season of life. But I live in the Midwest with my husband, who is a farmer, and we just have this really fun small town, outdoors a lot kind of life with our kids. As far as work, I just kind of started when my kids were little working at home. I was thinking, what can I do while still being here with my kids? Something I'm good at and something I can help people with. And writing really came forward for me. So I started pitching myself to write magazine articles, moved up to editors of that magazine, and then realized like business owners were reaching out, being like, hey, you write? Can you help me with this website, this blog, all these things? And I thought, man, I know enough to be dangerous. Let me try. And so I realized this was this whole world of copywriting, took all the classes, learned everything I could, and it's just really snowballed from there. Today, I write mostly sales pages and email marketing campaigns and websites sometimes for female founders who just want fire sales copy that just goes like above the bar, like above the standard of things that we're used to. Like I really love to go outside the mold and have it really customer service focused and just go real deep to pull out their messaging. And it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And is there one area in copy that you enjoy more than others, or is it all kind of you like the mix?
I love the mix. I love email marketing because I'm almost 40 years old. So I feel like I kind of am a little late in the generation of selfies and
Yeah.
like Instagram and stuff that way. So like for me, email marketing is really freeing. Like I can do it like while my kids are watching a movie. I can be there next to them on the couch, like doing my marketing, right? Like it's just such a freeing avenue with a lot of creative freedom for me. But I love writing a good sales page. That's my favorite thing to write for clients because when you're ready to level up your sales page that way, you probably have these really big goals in your business, right? Like you want to close a program without doing discovery calls, or you want to like build a funnel that converts on the sales page, or you're going for this big launch goal. And for me to come in and like, I've done a lot of sales pages, and for me to be able to come in and help people that way and get those big wins, like, oh yeah, it's just the best. So
Oh, so cool. There's so many good
yeah.
things there. And I think if anybody's trying to level up their business and their marketing, emailing 100% should be a piece of your plan. And you'll just need a little help in shaping what that looks like and how it can be created, because it can feel overwhelming. And the sales copy, though, we need to touch on that too. And maybe I try to remember to add that in, because it's such an important, powerful piece as well. But let's dig into the email piece, because you just touched on it. And I mentioned how important it is for your business to be able to market and maintain your business. Like if you don't have an email list, where does someone even start when they're looking at that? And what part of the entry process do you dive in with an entrepreneur at any stage? And what's possible with email?
Yeah. Oh, I love these questions. I feel like everybody who has a business right now is feeling all these things that Kim just said about email marketing because it's everywhere. It is like every business coach you have, every person you follow on social media is like, you've got to build your email list. And I think it can be really overwhelming. But what I always like, what I have seen from the email marketing campaigns that I work on for clients and in my own business is I think we have it not a little bit wrong, but maybe and the way that we put email like on this pedestal and you think that as soon as I start emailing and I start emailing the right way, I'm gonna have like all this money and all these sales. And I really, really believe, like I tell people, like email is not the magic. Like you are. You are the magic. People want to hear from you wherever they can find you. Email is just one of those really great avenues for people to find you, right? You're in their inbox. It's so personal. It's almost like the next most personal thing to sending someone a handwritten letter, if you think about it, you know? So, email is just a great marketing avenue. I never tell people you have to email. I don't believe that. There's businesses who don't email who are very successful. On the flip side, there's businesses who are really successful on like Instagram, podcasting, YouTube who add email and see a lot of success, right? So it's like this marketing avenue that's available to you. And if you want to use it, yeah, it's incredible. But I also don't want people to approach email as this thing of like, I have to do it or else, because that's just a terrible way to think about things. And anytime I've approached anything in my business with that kind of energy, I don't stick with it. So, yeah.
So many good points there. And I think that's what I tell my clients as well with podcasting is, well, you have to first pick a platform that you're comfortable in entering, right? And get excited about showing back up for. And I could see email as being part of that. It's another platform and another tool to use, but you can't expect to monetize things quickly. I would almost approach email, having an email funnel or some kind of component of that in my business plan as evergreen content. Is that how you look at
Yeah,
it?
that's such a good thing. Yeah. So just to like touch on that too, like the people who I see having success with email, like you said, it's not like this quick thing all the time. People who I see having really great success with email are like, one, they have a proven offer. Like they have tested that offer and they have sold it. They know it sells, they know it's in demand. Two, they have a visibility strategy somewhere that involves more than maybe like posting once a week. Like they have a podcast, YouTube channel. They're out there collaborating. They're like doing grassroots local network marketing. Like they are getting visible. And then they add email, and email is like the frosting on the cake, right? Like they have this great relationship with their audience and they just foster it really, really well through email. So yes, that's super important. Like to think of it and as like part of this whole ecosystem. And then I'm sorry, I forgot the second part of your question because I backed us up a step.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I don't even know if I can remember now, but let's keep talking about emails because
Okay.
they're just so important. What are some actual emails that we can send to create a list and create some momentum and excitement around more conversations and more engagement? And I guess it's that how we could look at starting is not only do we have a proven offer, because I think that's such an important piece, but why are we actually starting conversations and like an actual email workflow?
Yeah. Okay. I love this. So that's a really great question to ask yourself. If you're like getting back into emailing or just starting it for the first time, you have to, like Kim said, ask yourself, like, what is like your email list has two purposes. Like, what is the purpose of these emails for my readers? Like, why are they opening these emails? Like, what do you want them to get out of it? Like, what's the win, the benefit? Like, what can they expect? And then with that, like, what is the benefit of your email list for you as the business owner? So you have to think about those things like, do you want your email list just to be this place where you send fun tips and, have conversations? Or do you want it to be a place where you start making a lot of sales, where you can just show up on Instagram for fun because your emails are selling for you? So you really have to think about these things. So if you're using your email list, like first of all, to get people on your list, there's several like ways you can do it. I'm sure we all know like you can have the lead magnet and we can talk about that. Another strategy that I've seen pop up more and more is to just have like your newsletter be your lead magnet, right? So, like, for example, like I'm a copywriter. My newsletter is like, if I was your copywriter, like I literally named it and I have it, people can just opt in if they want copywriting tips, right? So, like, whatever you do, that can be your way to get people on your list, right? Maybe you're an interior designer, maybe you're a life coach, like, whatever you do, make your email list like the event and you can get people to opt in that way. And you can even start with your email as like your hero piece of content for the week then, and then, repurpose that other places. I find doing that makes email marketing a lot easier when you start there. And then you're like, okay, now I can record it as a podcast episode. Now I can put it on my blog. Now I can do it social and the email's done kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that. It should be a piece of everything. And so
Mhm.
finding where you are really excited to show up for, and then how, and if it's, let's say, okay, I'm going to like use podcasting because I
Yeah.
love the platform and
Yeah.
I'm not great at writing, but I'm great at speaking around my level of expertise, whatever that may be. So if I choose to develop some content around a podcast, I could develop an email that comes out of that podcast every week or however often the podcast comes out, right? As part of it. So thinking about it being a part of your plan and also that you can be creative and use emails in so many different ways, right? So that it doesn't have to feel so overwhelming. But as long as you get started somewhere, I think that's like a really important piece, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I've talked to so many people who, like you said, love speaking, love video. And it's like you can do so much of that in your email. Like I know people who literally they're like, here's my email. If you want the audio version, click here. And they'll like read their
Yeah.
email to you, you know? So you can and you can start there. If you prefer speaking, speak into like a voice recorder app or something and get your thoughts out that way and type them if you want or share audio in your email. I build a lot of funnels that have videos in them because we all know like voice, audio, video is such a great way to connect with people. So if those are your strengths, don't feel like email isn't the place for you. Like you don't have to be this great writer to be there. Like you, it's your email list. You own this. You can, however you best show up, you can do that there too.
That's so cool. Can you
Mhm.
walk us through what an email like that would look like? And where would
Yeah.
one start in adding whether it's audio or video to their email
Yeah,
structure?
okay. Of course. Okay, so to give you an example, for example, I have like a membership, like it's like a $25 a month membership, and I have a funnel leading to it, right? And so my emails in this funnel are all about like inside this membership, here's like an email template you get, and I talk to them about it, and I'm like, watch this quick 2-minute video. I'm going to walk you through it, and then I just put a Loom recording in there, right? So like, let's say you are somebody. I'm just trying to think of an example. Maybe you're somebody who helps moms organize their pantry or something like that, helps families organize their pantry. You could literally like send an email being like, I just found this like really awesome hack to organizing XYZ, da 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 da. Click here and watch this 2-minute video and I'll walk you through it. You know, like you can just, it's really easy to insert video in your emails. So I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're like want to share your screen or if you want to just connect with your audience in that way a little bit more, you can definitely put video into your emails.
Yeah, that's so cool. I follow someone that uses audio. Like they can click to read the email, like their
Yeah.
newsletter, instead of reading it, which is so cool because she's got such a creative energy about her. So when you listen to it, it has a whole different feel than when you're even reading it. And it's
Mhm.
just yeah, it's like downloading your favorite audio book, right? When it's like the author reading it versus somebody else, like you can tell, and it just adds that personal touch and so can video, right? In so many different ways because we all know that there's a time and a place for video when you need it if you're like showing some kind of like a walkthrough or a tutorial, but yet listening is so different and so is reading. So they all play into their own strengths. Is there like a number, like how often you should be structuring like your emails, or does it really go back to again, depending on what you're using your emails for?
Yeah, so let's say you're using email, let's say you have offers and you launch them a few times a year or whatever, and like you're in a model like that, right? A business model that way. So I recommend that if you're doing something like that, you at least have a weekly email newsletter, right? For some people, it's every other week or even monthly. Again, you have to go back and think about what's the purpose of this list for my audience and what is it for me, right? And you can email them more than that too, more than once a week if there's other things. So for example, I have a client who one day a week we send a quick tip, a quick win, like, hey, here's your Tuesday, like XYZ. And we just give them like a really quick email read, a lot of value. They get a big win. Then we have another day of the week dedicated to sharing a client win. And then she has another day of the week dedicated to just like a personal newsletter, right? More just like a personal note from the business owner. So it's like whatever you can literally realistically keep up with and want to do. So I never really tell people like you have to email this many times, but I think if you want to be top of mind, I think once a week is good. And that's where you can have your kind of what is my newsletter about? Like, what do people get from being on here? Is it this kind of tip? Is it this kind of how to? Is it inspiration for this? You can think about that. Like, what's the purpose and the goal of your newsletter and do it that way. And then so we can talk more about too, if you're moving into like launching and pre-launching, then I think you can up the number of emails you send. If you want to talk about that, we can.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I think it's just so important for people to see, what can all these different flows look like without getting overwhelmed. I
Yeah.
think the one big piece that I took out of that too is having fun with it, being
Mm,
creative, adding your own flair, and trying to be as consistent as possible without beating yourself up. Because
yeah.
I love checking out what some other people in the industry are doing for newsletters, and they're all so different. There's no rhyme or reason to any of it, which I love. And same with podcasting. Podcasting can be so different, and it doesn't have to be like the same cookie cutter approach to every person. And you probably see that when you work with your clients, right? Like somebody's approach can be completely different than somebody else's. So trying to be as consistent as possible with whatever you start is really, really important to let people know that you haven't left, you're still here, and do it in your own way, which I think is so important. And that's how you will stay consistent.
Imagine this, a customized website design that is as unique as you are and done in 1 week. Think of us as your in-house website designer. We offer a semi-custom show it website design that is ideal for the established coach, creative, online business owner who is ready to create a presence online and is ready to take action quickly. We build out a layout that nurtures your visitors, SEO best practices to help you get ranked in Google, development of 5+ pages to drive traffic, and training and launch support so that you can update your website after our time is done. You have the choice. You can keep spinning your wheels and flying by the seat of your pants, or you can have a strategically designed website that allows you to connect and convert, because that is what your business deserves. If you're interested in learning more, check out the link in the show notes to see if Website in a Week is the right fit for you.
What does launching look like then? And how can we, what does that flow look like?
Yeah. So right now, what I see working really well for launches, I'm just like behind the scenes in a lot of different launches. And what I see working really well is like before cart open, right? Before you're like actually enrolling, that day comes when the thing is live. It's, I think, very important to spend at least 4 to 6 weeks before that in what I think most people are calling, like, pre-launch. So that means the time like, that means that when people get to, like, your thing is here, you're not just like, "Surprise, this thing is here," and then they have to make a buying decision. Think of it more like the goal is, like, by the time you open the cart or open the doors, people already have all the information they need to make an informed buying decision. So in that pre-launch period, again, 4 to 6 weeks out, you can email, I mean, as many emails as it takes, like 3 times a week if you want to, twice a week, 4 times a week. Like, you can email and you can let people know that you're emailing more. But during this phase, what you wanna be sending out is client wins, client case studies, right? Which is showing, like, your work with clients and the people you help. You wanna be naming your program, right? Like, this is opening on this date. You wanna be talking about if you're building a wait list, if there's any incentives or bonuses to signing up on that wait list and joining right away, and making sure those bonuses and incentives are really good. Like, they solve your client's most pressing objection to joining, right? So having like selling those bonuses, those wait lists, going through every component of your offer and sharing like, here we are, like, for example, in this mastermind, we have calls on Tuesdays. This is what these calls are going to make help you do, right? So like just breaking apart your approach and your process and like every little piece of your offer and really like selling it so that when again when the card is open, it's not like, "Oh, surprise, something big is coming. Here it is," right? Like, we want them to know so they're ready. They know the price. They know how long it is. They knew that cart was opening, so people can plan, right, and prepare, for your launch and just make a good informed buying decision.
Yeah, I love that. So if you have, so 4 to 6 weeks in advance of launching something new, what if you have a service-based business that's pretty much ongoing, that you only accept so many clients every month into all the activities that you can do because you learn, maybe it's a more intensive offer where you work with clients like, for 1 or 2 days, set them up, and then you walk away. How do you keep that life into those kind of businesses?
Yeah,
and
such a good
excitement.
question. Yeah, no, I love this because I'm a service provider and I think about this all the time. So I'll share with you some things that have worked for me as a service provider trying to sell through email. So one thing that works really well for me is I almost think of like my service provider calendar is like I'm launching it, right? So if I'm like, okay, I want to fill my calendar for June and July in this service. Here we are in April and May, whatever. Like, let's go. So just what I just kind of told you, I almost think about that, right? So it's like it's open. You can sign up anytime for those months, but I'm like, I know I want to book that stuff. And so I'm answering questions. I'm sharing client wins. I'm booking this now. I'm just emailing my list in the launching kind of format until it's full, right? And I've totally done that before. Another thing that I have done that I've seen work really, really well for service providers or even, gosh, even coaches, right? Is I will trying to think of a good example. Okay, so like I do sales page copy a lot. For my email list, I will do some kind of, I don't know, like a preview or something of what I do. So I'll say, hey, I'm doing 10 sales page edits, right? Like they're total, like sometimes I have them free, sometimes I have them low ticket. Send me your sales page. I'll give you a full like audit of it. And like when I do that audit, like I'll pitch you to rewrite it if I think it's a good fit, but the audit will be so good, like you won't need to, you can rewrite it on your own. So kind of thinking about ways like how could I share my screen, give people an audit, give people a preview. I have clients who do this. They do like they'll audit your marketing or they'll audit your website or your like social media page. And that kind of leads to their paid services. I see that strategy working really, really well for like service providers and coaches for email. So those are two things I guess I see right now.
Oh, that's so smart. So it's just like reverse engineering, like when you want to get booked and thinking about
Yeah.
it in the same way as you would if you're launching a new offer. And that's the thing, like, it doesn't matter what type of business you're doing, you still have to generate excitement and generate leads into those services and offers. So smart. If somebody needs help to better write an email to figure out what that looks like, what kind of offers, like, how do you work with people to get them started on a path of consistency? Because I don't want that to be a barrier for people to just get started.
Yeah. Oh, I love this question. So to stay consistent with email, like we can talk about like a formula you can use or like some
Yeah.
strategies that way. So one thing that helps me stay consistent with email is think about it like this. I have a certain time where I'm like thinking of email topics. Sometimes I sit down and think of them. Sometimes I just have a notes app open on my phone or my notebook or my Google Doc where I keep it. And if something sparks, I'm like, oh, that'd be a great email. And I just like will jot that down. So I separate like the idea, like creating topics from the writing from the editing, right? So when I go to write an email, I will like, okay, here's my topics, and like here's the topic that I have in mind from my list, or maybe it just came to me last night, whatever. And I will literally give myself permission to just write without editing. I think a lot of people get stuck there where they think like, this email has to be so good. It really doesn't. Like you cannot edit a blank page. So just get your thoughts out on paper and then I'll literally come back the next day or an hour later after I take a drink of coffee or whatever and then I'll polish it up. So I think people will see that they can write emails a lot more quickly if they just set the timer and allow themselves to enjoy the process of writing it. Is as cheesy as that sounds, I will even like handwrite sometimes pen to paper because I just enjoy it more than being on my computer all the time. So make the process one you enjoy. It's like you get to be really creative and then you can come back and edit it later. Another tip I would have for you is never start writing the subject line first. And it's so hard. Your subject line is almost always in the email somewhere. So I think I see a lot of people getting tripped up being like, oh, like what's my subject line? You play with it for 30 minutes. No, just write your email and like the main topic of that will come forward and then you can format that into a subject line. So those are kind of like some of my basic tips. Another thing I would just encourage people, if you're really looking for a structure, you have your one topic and your one reader, right? So always everything you're doing is like, I have one topic for this email and I've got one reader and I've got one call to action. Fill in those kind of blanks and you'll have a way better direction of where you're going. And always thinking about why does this topic matter to my reader? Why aren't they doing the thing right now? What happens when they do start doing it? Here's how I help them get that win. And just one reader, one topic, one call to action, fill it in as you go on that first draft, and you can polish it up and make it pretty later
That's
on.
such Such great advice, because I tell that with my clients too when they're developing solo episodes, because they can get a little repetitive when they're
Yes.
talking and people don't really want to listen to that too. And I imagine it's the same when you're reading something, right? Get to the point, make sure that there's not more than one topic in the
Mhm.
solo episode or in the email, right? Because it's just too much
Yeah.
sometimes, and then we get lost in translation. So being really thoughtful of what the purpose is, what the content is, like you said, your one topic, and then going from there. So such good advice and tip. And don't get hung up on what the title is, right? Because yeah, we
Yeah.
do. We do. That's
Mhm.
so funny. That's so crazy.
I
Okay.
know I do.
I love that you use audio in your business. Is your podcast something new? Tell us a little bit about it, what the name is, the purpose of it, and how has that created another outlet for your writing and your creative spark in your business?
Oh, yeah. So I had a podcast and then it was called Above the Bar Copy. And it was all about just writing incredible copy. And then I've recently rebranded it to the Email Marketing Podcast, where it's all
Yeah,
about email marketing. And I love it so much because having a podcast is such a great way to reach people. I feel like we all can put in our earbuds and listen. So I love that. I'm a better writer than speaker. I'm like the opposite of you, Kim, that way, I think. And so for me, a huge part of the podcast is being able to grow as a speaker and as in my confidence as a speaker. I'm really confident in writing, and speaking is different for me that way. And I love that. And I love knowing that, like, even if I don't, show up on social media or do whatever, I've still got that core piece of content out for the week. And I just feel really, really good about that. Also, the relaunch of the podcast has been really strategic, and that one of my signature offers is like an email marketing like template, like
perfect.
membership, right? So all the things in my podcast really tie into ways I can help people like when they work with me. And that just feels like as a business owner, like a good strategy and something I'm enjoying. So
I love that. And are you structuring your episodes more solo? Are you inviting guests? Like, how are you structuring it?
yeah. I have 3 solo episodes a month, and I'm just adding guests in. So I did my first guest interview yesterday, and so I did them before the rebrand, but I really need help with editing to do that, I've discovered, and so I'm back with editing support, and I feel really great, taking guests. And as you know, podcast guesting is such a great way to collaborate and meet other people, so I'm really excited about
Yeah, it really
yeah,
expands your reach. So
it
I
does.
love that you're adding it. And you're a lot like me too. I mean, I started this business to really amplify other voices, but I wasn't amplifying my own. And it's such a learned skill in having the confidence to be able to show up
Yes.
and to be able to speak in our own voice. And just like when you're writing, it's like a skill that you need to practice. And I think it's
Mhm.
so important. And I hope that whoever's listening to this understands that you have to start somewhere, and you have to just start writing that pen to paper. If emails is part of your business marketing plan and you want to start building that muscle, you have to start playing with it. So I love that you're adding all of those pieces. And I actually just had this conversation with someone, and we were speaking about writers in the podcast realm. And honestly, you are the best storytellers. So don't forget that that is where your level of expertise is. And stories we know are so meaningful. People remember. And when you are sharing a story through audio, it's just such a cool experience and something that will set you apart from other podcast hosts. So I can't wait for others to tap into your new podcast or your rebranded new podcast if they need support and help in the email world, because I imagine it's going to be its own creative venture for you. So I'm so excited for that.
Oh, thank you, Kim. Thank you for the encouragement. Writers everywhere listening to that, take that. Because, yeah, some of us would rather just, it's comfy to just sit behind your screen, right? And not have to do that. But like you said, the more you do it, the more you realize you have so much to say. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of your podcast, how do others find you and learn more from you or work with you?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I think the best resource I can give everyone listening is I have a free relationship-based email marketing strategy and email template bundle. And so you download that and you get a calendar that shows you it's not dated, so you can use it anytime. And it shows you how to send like these 6 to 8 really great emails that would give you just like this effective relationship-based client-centered email marketing strategy. And you can rotate through these emails every single month and you'd be hitting all of your bases to make sales, share client wins, start conversations, find like people who are ready to work with you, who are on your list right now and ready to buy. And so, and with each of those email examples, you get a full like template you can plug and play with and use. So we can link to that in the show notes. And then other than that, my website is just jennyrothcopywriting.com.
Perfect. And before I let you go, I always love ending with kind of a reflective question. What does like business success look like to you now? You've been in this entrepreneurial world for a moment, and what does it look like for you now? And what has helped you achieve that level of success?
Yeah, I've just been thinking about this. I'm so happy you asked. This has been on my heart a lot lately. So again, I've been doing this for a little while and I've just been thinking like I've worked with clients a lot. I know what I'm doing. I have my schedule really great. My kids are older. It's not like the younger kid days. And I was just telling my husband, but I think my default still is always like head down and work and be anxious and push, 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 you know. And I told him the other day, I think I need to change that because it's like you work so hard for all the things. It's like you have the things, but can you let yourself enjoy them, right? Can you let yourself like actually be just peaceful with what you have and know that it's enough, you know? So I think for me right now, business is that I really, really want to be able to help people with my copy. And I really want to be able to be okay if I'm not working so hard because I don't know, as you know, like when you build a business, I did do it by pushing very, very hard. And so, like, getting out of that mindset of I always have to be pushing for me, I think is kind of the next level. And I'm really excited to go there. And it's hard.
It's so hard, but I think
It
others
is.
can relate to that. And I'm hearing that more and more, that people are spending a moment to just reflect on where they started, what it took to get to where they are
Yeah.
now, and what do they see next. And I think it's okay to be reflective and to sit in that a little bit. And as we're heading into the summer season, I know for me, I tend to be a little bit quieter with client work in the summer, um, probably for a few reasons. Because, like we said at the beginning of the episode, we have such a short summer season where we both live, and time goes by so fast. And so it's nice to be able to have that time to be reflective of our businesses and where we want to head into the next busy season. It's okay to have busy seasons. I think it's important if you want to reach levels of success in your business and whatever that looks like, but it's okay to be reflective as well and to take that time for ourselves. So I love that you're doing that now. Is there anything that's supported you to get there or to be able to maintain that level of success? Have you had people in your world that have just been able to lift you up more, or platforms that you've used that help streamline client work? Because it's tough to do it all on our own.
Oh yeah, I want to be very honest about that. So, I to be able to run a business that is doing well and thriving and can support my family financially, it has taken me a lot. Like I've invested in a lot of courses to get better at what I do, a lot of coaching, masterminds, mindset coaching. On top of that, I have a really supportive partner. My husband works full time. So I come from like a dual income household. I have family and friends around me who really uplift and encourage me. I have colleagues and clients who are wonderful. So it takes a lot, right? I just want to be really honest about that. Like, it's not a unicorn thing. And I have like up and down days still with all of that, right? And yeah, it's a lot. And I always think too, like, I was raised by entrepreneurs. Like, my dad, I'm 40. He started a business when I was 18 and he still has it, right? So I've seen a lot of things up, like what it is, like what it means to a family, which I think is why I love to write copy for business owners so much. Like I get what your business means for you. And my husband has a business and works a full-time job, right? So I always tell people like the fact that you create any income out of thin air for yourself as a business owner is like a miracle. And I think we always are just
Incredible.
like, what next? But somebody else is doing more. I do that a lot. There's other copywriters making more, doing more. And it's like, will it ever be enough? Or can I just really be at peace with what I'm doing? The client in front of me, the person in front of me, the work in front of me right now today, and just let it be enough. And it will be,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's
yeah.
such good advice to tell others, and how inspirational to have that around you. I mean,
Mhm.
that's
Lucky.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, I enjoyed this conversation so much. It's been a pleasure to meet you, Jenny. I'm so excited about what this next phase in your business and life looks like. I know I'm heading in that direction as well, having young adults that I've raised that are venturing off into their next
Yeah.
chapter after June. And I'm so excited as a parent. It's just so exciting to see them, but now also having some of that excitement for yourself. Like, what's this next phase in life look like? What's this next chapter that I'm going to write with my husband and for myself? And I'm so excited about that. And I share that excitement with you as well. So many good things. I think something at the beginning of the conversation is when you said, think about email writing as like a handwritten letter. And I love that. And I think we need to think about that because I think we've lost that a little bit and it should be brought back to life because there's so much that can be spoken in the written form and we shouldn't be afraid of it. We should just think of it in an easier way that makes us show up for it. So thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to connect with you and hear that about the phase of your life with your kids. We'll definitely be staying in touch with you. I'm so happy to meet another mom and woman kind of in the same similar boat. So
Absolutely. Okay. Take care.
Thanks again for tuning into this week's episode of the Online Creator Podcast. If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, please do so on your favorite media player. And come check us out over on YouTube, where you have full access to our episodes on video there. You can check out the important links mentioned in today's episode in the show notes, and please join the conversation over on Instagram at May and James Co. I'll see you next week.